This new topic will deal with different types of processes and how do we decide which process to be selected. Okay, just a second. Normally we will be talking about different types of processes. We have already given you an introduction in terms of making to stock, MTS, make to order, MTO, and assemble to order, that is ATO. Okay, here further we will be going ahead and we will be talking about serial processes and parallel stage processes. Then we will talk about concepts of line balancing. Some simple numericals will take up only just to give you an idea in terms of what do we mean by line balancing, bottleneck identification, and how do we uh, manage the productivity or the output rate. Process design is basically about the development of the process steps or methods which are necessary to produce the designed product which we want to actually deliver to the customer. Process selection is when we want to develop that product, there are multiple processes which can be used to develop that product. Now, which process would be the best suitable one? So there are multiple angles, multiple factors which we take into consideration, and accordingly we decide which process to go ahead with. Now, this also depends upon the market behavior of the product. Okay, how the demand would be, which all places you want the product to be reaching, what should be the time to reach the customer. So all those aspects will come into play, and whether it's going to be a mass manufacturing product or it's going to be a very focused, targeted to a niche segment. Okay, so process selection is the selection of the best suitable solution among the available set of various solutions in order to achieve our objective with optimal utilization of available resources in the shortest possible time. Okay, uh, objective will always be to have the optimum utilization of resources, and your time is also a resource. Okay, so within the best time. So the aspects which we have talked about in terms of quality, cost, flexibility, okay, uh, time to market, okay. So all those aspects will be taken into consideration while defining the best process for to be chosen for making the product. Now, when we are talking about product, it is not only just about tangible products. When we talk about service, there also we do have a product. The only thing is it is intangible in nature. Okay. For example, when we talk about insurance, do we have a product there?
Yes, sir.
So can you feel it? Can you hold it?
No.
So it's intangible in nature. Okay. So financial products, banking products. Okay. So there are lots of, when we are referring to product here, that means it is not only just product but also services. The process planning and design system, we have already seen there are three aspects to it. Okay, one is basically your input, one is the output, and the center one we always say the process. Okay, so, or the transformation system, which actually transforms inputs to output. Now, in this case, okay, When we talk about inputs, so we are actually referring to it. It could be in the form of a product, or it can be in the form of a service information. So what product or service demand is there? What kind of price versus volume behaviors are there? Is there any patterns? What is the competitive environment? Consumer wants or needs, how it is? What is the desired product characteristics which is required? So we have multiple categories which you can actually, information related to multiple categories is actually taken in as inputs. So even including your operation strategy, production system information, what kind of resources available, what would be your production economics, the technologies available, which technology, whether you need to acquire some other technology or not. Okay, your predominant strengths, weaknesses, and so on. Okay, so outputs we have already seen. It could be in terms of your technological processes also could be your output. So new designed processes, okay, design of specific processes, linkages among the processes from one process to another one. So uh, output of one product, one process will become input for the next process. Okay, so linkages between them. Okay, the personnel estimates. When we talk about the process, okay, the planning and design of it, we are actually referring to which type of process to be selected. Okay, do we need to conduct vertical integration studies? When we are talking about I hope we have already referred about, we have talked about horizontal and vertical integration, correct? As far as I remember, there was a question on that. Somebody had asked me. Vertical means along the supply chain. Horizontal means across, or rather in parallel. For example, we talked about Tata acquiring Jaguar and Land Rover. Okay, so what they have done is they have added to their customer base plus added to their production capability, but they have not gone along their supply chain vertically. So that means when somebody goes ahead and becomes their own supplier, okay, so they are developing their own supply capability. So they are creating independency on the foreign bodies. So that's vertical integration. When they go ahead and start their own retail outlets, showrooms, that's vertical integration. Okay. So whether I should make the raw material for myself or should I buy it from outside? If I want to set up a capital equipment which I'm going to use it for manufacturing, should I make it in-house or should I buy it from outside? Okay, those kind of decisions are also taken up. Process or product studies related to major technological steps, minor technological steps, product simplification, product standardization, product design for producibility. So these kind of aspects would be taken care of when we talk about process planning and design. This also will talk about your facility layout and also facility location, okay, which we are going to look at in detail in later chapters. Okay, fine up to this. Can I move ahead? Uh, this is what I was actually talking about, a sequential design. That means one stage is done, then the next stage is taken up. Once this stage is over, then the next stage is taken up. If we are talking about a new product development, the inputs are taken up from the customers. Okay. Concept of a product is actually created. It is given to the marketing personnel, and marketing personnel, he develops performance specifications, and those would be given to the design engineer. Design engineer will create the design specifications and it will be shared with the manufacturing engineer. They will be developing the product manufacturing specifications and will be given to the production personnel, and actual production will be carried out. Now this is a sequential process. Okay, if anything goes wrong at one juncture, the product again the process starts flowing backwards for inputs or corrections here, and then again comes forward. Now, there is an faster process which nowadays majority of the companies prefer to go ahead with. That is concurrent design. Okay, when we talk about concurrent design, that means all the parties will come together, okay, and they will work on it. Now, when we are talking about all the parties, means these are the parties, these four people. That means from the we are not going to bring the customer, but the inputs from the customers would be taken up and would be discussed in a meeting, and the entire thing would be developed. Now, what happens is, in case if he has any queries, immediately it could be answered by him. If he has some queries pertaining to either him or even the marketing personnel, he can get those queries answered immediately. So that's concurrent design. Everyone, the entire, all the stakeholders, they come together and they take the decision. Fine up to this? Your process is, yes. Any questions? Okay, can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, so the process designs can be categorized broadly into two: simple process design and complex process designs. Okay, when we talk about complex process designs, there are a lot of variabilities which would be included, and hence we talk about either simple or concurrent designs. So nowadays, for faster new product development, people go for concurrent design, but there are certain situations wherein you cannot go for this. It has to go sequentially. Okay. The product or service ideas are basically taken up, tested for economic and technical feasibility. Parallelly, the product or service designs are prepared, along with production process designs are prepared, and both are integrated to come up with the new product for the market. Okay. Now, processes can be multi-stage, single stage. Normally, single stage process would be an activity. Okay, but when we talk about process, it will always have multiple stages. So either it can be one stage, two stage, three stage process, or so on. Now, when we convert it into a flow chart, different types, normally a process is indicated using a rectangular block. Okay, downward triangle is used to indicate a temporary inventory or temporary storage. Okay, so what will happen is, if let me give you a concept of bottleneck. Okay, if my stage 1 is producing, say, 10 units per minute, stage 2 is producing 8 units per minute, and stage 3 capability is 12 units per minute, what would be the output rate? Stage 1 is producing 10 units per minute, but capability of stage 2 is only 8 units per minute. Capability of stage 3 is 12 units per minute. What would be the output?
8 units per minute.
Perfect. Yes, it would be 8 units per minute. Because what happens is, though stage 1 gives 10 units per minute to stage 2, but stage 2 can process only 8 units per minute. So it will be able to give only 8 units per minute to stage 3. Though the capability of stage 3 is more than that, it is up to 12 units per minute, but since it has got only just 8 units, it will be able to process and give 8 units as output.
Could you please explain this again?
Okay, what is happening is all the stages will have different capability, different capacity, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
Now, let us assume there are 3 students who are sitting across, and every student is going to write few pages, and the next part of it would be written by the next student, and the next part of it will be written by the third student. So one book is to be written by 3 students, one part by first student, second part by the second one, and third part by the third one. Now, if the first one is able to write 10 pages per minute, and he passes on to the second person, and his writing speed is only 8 pages per minute, and the stage 3, that means third student, will has a speed of writing 12 pages per minute, but he can write only when he has received the previous pages from him, and he will be able to receive how many? 8 pages per minute. So even if his speed is more, okay, he will not be able to write 12 pages. He will be able to write only 8 pages.
Yes,
So what happens is, this stage 2 starts acting as a bottleneck, and it limits the performance of the system. Okay. When stage 1 is processing more than what stage 2 can take, what will happen is there would be a temporary storage getting created here. Correct? Accumulation will start happening. 8 pages, 8 products will be taken up. What about the other 2? It will get piled up here. Correct? And every minute you will have a pile up of 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So after 4 minutes, you will have 8 units waiting here for processing. Correct? Hello? Hello?
yes, sir.
Okay. I was audible, correct?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. So that's called as bottleneck. Okay. This is what we were actually referring to, which I have created here. Multi-stage process with buffer. So you actually end up creating a buffer. And then to balance it, what we do is we run this first stage for 4 minutes. Okay. Then wait for 1 minute. Run this for 4 minutes, for 5 minutes. Then we start this again. So जब ये 4 minutes चल रहा है, वो टाइम पर ये भी चल रहा है, but this will be running only for 4 minutes, this will run for 5 minutes, so that even the accumulation is taken care of. Fine?
Yes, sir.
So some ways to automate a bottleneck is either you automate the system, communicate him early that extra pieces are coming in, so that this other stage can work for longer times or can start early, remove non-value adding work, or adding more resources. Now adding more resources means what you can do is you can add up 2 stages. So instead of having one stage here, I can add up another stage here. Either I can add up a same capacity stage or a lesser capacity stage, so that I don't have to make this first stage stop for some time. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now the problem in this kind of scenarios is this will definitely increase the capacity, but at the same time there would be a cost which would be coming up. And if the demand doesn't remains same later also, then what will you do about this extra capacity that you have added? Therefore, people take time to decide whether extra capacity needs to be added. Now, there are different capacity augmentation techniques. For example, either companies will start running extra shifts, okay, for that particular stage, only you will do it, or you will outsource some part, let some other company do it for you, and you will just brand on you will just brand it as per your branding. Okay, so there are various techniques, methodologies which are actually used. Fine. So from serial stage processes, we may land up to parallel stage to manage the bottlenecks. Are we okay up to this?
Yes, sir.
Process design normally faces issues in terms of transparency, connecting the users to the resources, openness of the system, scalability, reliability, quality, and in terms of security. These are some of the issues that needs to be addressed when we are designing the process. So process should be scalable. When we say scalable means, if I am producing 8 units per day per minute today, I should be scale it up to 80 units per minute also as the demand changes. At the same time, if required and there is lesser demand in the market, then I should be able to go down also. So that's scaling aspect of your operations, your process. Okay, so output should be, we should be able to scale them. Okay, they should be able to deliver reliably. They should be able to meet up the quality, the desired quality, customer desired quality, and should be secured. When we talk about openness, that means uh, we they should be able to communicate freely across the different processes also. Okay, so nowadays IT is the one which actually uh, takes care of this very nicely. It has been a wonderful aspect. Anyway, we'll be seeing some of them ahead. Okay, any questions here? Transparency across processes we have already seen earlier. Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Uh, process Processes need to be analyzed time and again. Okay, so what do we actually mean by process analysis? So normally the processes are analyzed using process maps. Now, what do we mean by process maps? Some of you are already from IT background, correct? So they would be knowing what is a process map. It's nothing but a process flow chart. Okay, process map is a process flow chart, as can be seen here. This is also a flow chart. Okay,
So
which
it
means
is a type of diagrammatic representation of the steps to be followed or the process which is followed.
perfect, very nicely said. Diagrammatic representation. Now, why do we want to have a diagrammatic representation of it?
So to understand it better.
Yes, First thing is you should be able to get a bird eye view. That means you are able to see the entire process at one place. You are able to see their interactions, their dependencies and interdependencies of the various stages within a process with each other. That will help you in terms of identifying the gaps and fixing them up. Reducing the dependencies also. Okay, so whatever that we are actually referring to now is nothing but a process analysis. Okay, so process analysis is the examination and evaluation of the relevant information in a process to select the best course of action from among various alternatives, and optimization of your process would be the outcome of your process analysis. Okay, process analysis is carried out for getting better understanding of the process, to determine the efficiency of the process, to provide data with process risks, that is risk identification, and determining necessary changes in the process, which we also refer to as business process management or business process reengineering. Fine up to this?
Yes, sir.
Now, whenever we do process analysis, okay, we also take up the activity of defining the process performance measures in terms of the process capacity, the capacity utilization, the flow rate. What I was referring to earlier was flow rate. Okay, then cycle time. Cycle time is the time which is used for uh, a single product or a service to be delivered to the customer, starting uh, from the first process, from where it actually starts getting developed. Okay, so that will be your entire process time. Okay, cycle time is the time between two successive outcomes of the product. Anyway, we will see some examples with which we will be able to understand it better. Okay, work in process, setup time, when we are switching over from one model to another. Okay, so that time we need to do the setup again. So that's setup time. This setup time is applicable in case of our sessions also. Initially, when we revise things, we again relook at things. So it is nothing but again bringing you back to the same mindset. Okay, so that's a setup time. Direct labor content and utilization. So these are process performance measures which we normally look at. So we always would like to have processes where the setup time is the least, idle time is the least, processing time should be least, cycle time should be as high as possible, flow rate should be standard, should not fluctuate. Okay, capacity utilization should be high, and process capacity should be flexible. Process analysis benefits: it will help you in terms of the reduced lead time. It will help you in terms of improving the efficiency of the system, minimizing the non-value adding activities, and better manufacturability. So in case of process analysis, we always start with defining the process boundaries, developing the process flow, identifying the determining the capacity of each step, then identifying the bottleneck and evaluating the further limitations. This will help you in terms of, when you have identified the bottleneck, you will come up with strategies how to eliminate these bottlenecks. Now, there is something called as theory of constraints. So what it actually talks about is, uh, you cannot eliminate bottleneck completely, but what happens is when you work on one bottleneck, it shifts from one stage to another. So either it will go backward or it may go forward. For example, the earlier example which we have taken here, and we said that we will add up one more stage which is in parallel to this one, stage 2. So the capacity of this stage will become 8 plus 8, that is 16 units per minute. Now what will happen is, though the capacity of this unit becomes, this stage becomes 16 units, this stage is 12 units, but since the stage 1 is able to give you only 10 units per minute, what happens is, though the capacity is 16 units per minute, but it will be able to process only 10 units because it is able to receive 10 units only from the previous stage. And your output rate will, from 8 it will become 10. Fine?
Yes.
So what has happened is, actually your bottleneck has shifted from here to here, backward. Okay? So theory of constraints says that because of the constraints, you cannot eliminate the bottleneck, but bottleneck will shift across the process. Either it will go forward or it will go backward. Fine up to this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And anybody, any questions? Okay,
No,
so we'll
sir.
go ahead. We'll
Sir,
go
could
ahead.
you repeat the sentence that you said regarding elimination of the bottleneck?
What theory of constraints basically tells you is, when you eliminate a bottleneck from one stage, it either shifts upward or downward the process. So in our case, what happened was, it shifted downward the process. It could have gone upward also. Okay, so bottleneck doesn't get eliminated, but it actually shifts, and some other stage will start acting as a bottleneck, which was not acting as a bottleneck earlier. Okay, so there is a book called as Goal. If you can spare some time and if you love reading, I think you should read that book, The Goal. Okay. Now, one aspect of reducing the bottleneck is, we said we'll automate. So automatically proper handshake will happen and there will not be basically delay in communicating between one stage to another stage. So under what circumstances we go for automation? First, the process should be repeatable. If the process is repeatable, then you can definitely go for automation. If the process is not repeatable, or is the variability in the process itself is very high, or if the process is very complex, then you won't be able to automate. Okay, so automation can provide you with certain advantages, but at the same time certain disadvantages will also come. Okay, so automated processes will be more reliable and consistent in terms of their performance than that of humans. But negative side is unemployment. Some of the people will face retrenchment. Okay, automation will require state-of-the-art fully automated plants. It increases the market value of the firm. It improves the client base in international market. It helps in terms of machines taking exactly the same time in repetitive tasks. So you can predict and communicate better to your customers. Okay, more precisely. Behavioral problems in humans like boredom, frustration, fatigue, etc., will not come in when we are talking about automation. Industrial relation problems like strikes, lockdowns, etc., everything basically gets eliminated. But at the same time, it will come up with disadvantages of usually more expensive than the human workforce, less flexible as compared to humans, loss of creativity on the part of workers due to inflexibility in automation. And when you have physical workers who are working on it, they also provide you with inputs in terms of process betterment, which you may not be able to get when you have automated it. But even this aspect is taken care of to some extent by the artificial intelligence coming in. So implementation of artificial intelligence also helps you in terms of updating and optimizing the process further. Fine up to this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When we talk about product decisions, okay, which we also take along with the processes, okay. So depending upon the product mix level that we want to address, do we aim to serve as suppliers or the manufacturers? Which group of people are our target customers? Main aim is to achieve leadership or be known as a successful follower. So when we talk about Samsung, at one point of time, Samsung was a successful follower. But today, they are also leaders because they are also coming up with products which dictate the market requirements. Okay. So we can have product types at two different levels, whether we are looking at product mix level or product line level. So product line level, that means we are talking about limiting for the number of products, the basis of their differentiation. Should we stock unprofitable products or not? What is the business criteria that each product must reach? So these kind of questions is what we are actually trying to address at these levels. When we talk about physical product, we are actually referring to quality, the features, the style, okay, aesthetic, looks, flexibility, psychological obsolescence of the product. And when we talk about intangible products, we are looking at the effects of branding, the effects of packaging. Intangible products के केस में will packaging be applicable?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other views?
In intangible, there will be a look and feel of that product, like such as in some website is there or some virtual product is there. That the UI part will be important.
Okay. Uh, Packaging is applicable in case of intangible products also. That means what happens is how it is being delivered. That is what is packaging. So if when we talk about say a massage parlor, head massage parlor, okay, if it is in a posh locality and very much uh, fine interior, everything has been done, automatically the minute you enter there, you will have a good feel and you know that you will have to pay extra also. Correct?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
So packaging is applicable even there when we talk about intangible products.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So uh, we will have to see things on in both the lights. Okay. Whenever we are actually giving a product, so it is product plus services. And when we talk about services, there also packaging is applicable. If a doctor is having a very neat and clean hospital, okay, versus not clean, not neat hospital, obviously the customer will not pay much, correct?
Yes,
yes,
sir.
So value perceived by the customer changes immediately. So packaging definitely helps you in terms of pricing your product. At the same time, when we are talking about physical products, it helps you in terms of protecting transport, helps in transportation and distribution. It helps in terms of labeling, and not only just this, but also provides information to the customer, usage information. I hope you would have seen those products wherein directions for use लिखा रहता है, on the back side of the product.
Yes,
Okay?
yes, sir.
So contents, everything. So it's a wonderful concept. If you start observing things now, I think either पढ़ाने के लिए मेरे पास में कुछ बचेगा नहीं. To an extent, it also talks about the location where the product is manufactured. Whether the company is a manufacturer or they are just a trader. I don't know whether you have seen some products of HUL as well as P&G, which are not manufactured by them but are actually marketed by them. Have you come across?
I'm not able to gather such product. No.
Okay. कोई बात नहीं. अगली बार डीमार्ट और ये सब रिलायंस रिटेल वगैरह में जाएगा तो प्रोडक्ट पैकेजिंग को अच्छे से ध्यान से देखना.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that would be a very helpful thing. Now, when we talk about product analysis, product is not only just looked at in terms of how the look and feel of the product, but also how customers uses it, how customer looks at it. Okay, so in terms of its functional performance, it also needs to be looked at. So when we talk about product analysis, it is the study of how well a product does its job. It deals with form and function of the product. It identifies the important materials, processing, economic and aesthetic decisions which are required before any product can be manufactured. Now, I hope you have seen this kind of bottles. Have you ever wondered why this curve here? Why this kind of grooves or stand-like structure here? Why it is to be nozzled at this corner? This helps you in terms of holding it better. So that's the reason why they provide a grip. यहाँ पर अगर आपका because it is normally served chilled. So what will happen is the minute you take it out, it will start perspiring. You will see what droplets getting accumulated here on the surface. So it can slip. And that is the reason why this kind of groove will help you in terms of holding it better. This helps you in terms of directly drinking from the bottle. It is easy. Okay, so when we are talking about a product, we also look at it from ergonomic perspective. Sitting capacity. What should be the height? What should be the distance of the handle from this seat so that it is more comfortable? Now, if you look at this bike and a bike which is used for long distance journeys, the handles are different. The body posture itself that they support is different. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So all these things will go under product analysis. Now, when you have already come up with a product, then you also start looking at what materials are being used for making those products. Can we also identify alternate materials which will help us in terms of reducing the cost of manufacturing and still giving the customer the same effect? Okay, so earlier these used to come in a glass bottle. Now they are in a plastic bottle. But at the same time, company says plastic bottles are not better for your health.
Yes, sir.
है ना? But आपको कांच की बॉटल की जगह प्लास्टिक की बॉटल में दे रहा है, and you are also very happy saving few bucks.
Yes.
So what they have done is they have identified customer को कुछ ज़्यादा problem नहीं हो रहा है, they are okay with it, so they went ahead with it. How do you define whether it should be given in a Tetra Pak or not? Concept
Could
products.
you,
हाँ, yes, we have.
could you please repeat your question?
How do you decide whether you should go for a Tetra Pak or not for this? Here the answers are given. Okay. Fine. So product analysis is done in terms of ergonomic, cost, aesthetics, construction method, client requirements, health and safety, color and texture, materials, environmental impact. कोलगेट एक जमाने से रेड इसमें आता है, आज तक रेडी है. Why the color has not been changed?
So because it's a that one kind of specification or that people correlate with Colgate.
Yes, one aspect is definitely yes. They always correlate with Colgate. And anything else?
Maybe that the company irrelevant maybe that they look they're
Okay.
killing the jumps and the teeth is
ट्रैफिक
little
सिग्नल पे दूर से कौन सा कलर बराबर दिखता है?
red color is more visible.
I hope the message is loud and clear, correct?
Yes, sir. Right.
And there is another aspect. I don't know whether you have observed or not. Just take a small boy along with you, boy or girl, okay? And when you go for shopping, including the toddlers, the minute they see a red colored thing, they will just pick it up.
Yes,
Just
sir.
observe this. Okay, so they have decided it very scientifically. Okay, now product analysis is basically done to identify whether it is worth buying. This product analysis is not only just done by the manufacturer, it is also done by the customer. I hope before you buy two products or you go through a couple of them and then you decide कि ये लेना है कि नहीं लेना है.
Yes, sir.
And when you take the decision, I hope all these factors are there. Now there is one aspect which is not written here. Okay,
Safety.
safety, yes, but safety is mentioned here, health and safety.
Yes, sir.
So anything else?
Benefit.
वो तो by default है, but इस criteria से हटके होता है. What makes the preference? That is, nowadays people do have a concern in terms of whether it's made in India or made in China.
Yes, sir.
And nowadays that nationalism is actually coming into people. कुछ लोग हैं काफी practical हैं, but other than that, majority of us would prefer a product which is made in India. Correct? That will
Yes, sir.
provide independency to us. Okay. So every effective product design should be able to create attention, should have product utility, and should be produced at the lowest cost possible. If you are not able to produce at the lowest cost possible, then somebody else will produce it. And then you will lose the market. इसके लिए पर्सनल कंप्यूटर्स किसी और ने बनाया, बट आज बेच कोई और रहा है.
Yes.
Mobile phones or this mobile technology was actually uh, developed by somebody else and somebody else is using it. Any idea about which was the company which came up with that mobile technology at the first?
Sir, Nokia.
Okay. Any other guesses? Any other guesses? Nokia was not.
Motorola.
No, not even Motorola. But Motorola was the one which actually took it forward. They were the pioneers, and that was also one of the reasons why Motorola was number one globally at one point of time. Anyway, एक बार check कर लेना. Similarly, GUI based operating system, which was the company which came up with it. Anybody would like to say Microsoft? नहीं
Maybe,
बोल रहा है? हाँ, sorry.
maybe Microsoft come with GUI.
No, it's not Microsoft. उसके पहले इन लोगों ने ऑलरेडी डेवलप किया था मैक, बट उसके भी पहले किसी और ने डेवलप किया था. It was done by Xerox, and they had developed it for
Yes, sir.
actually,
I just Google it.
and they had done it for their machines only. And उसके बाद में फिर उन लोगों को पता नहीं था इसको और आगे कैसे लेके जाने का, so other companies did it. Okay, so it's not always the inventor who encaches it, it is somebody else who knows how to encash it. Okay, so life is full of examples like this. Okay, so when we talk about product design, okay, there are aspects which we always take into consideration. Okay, product can be designed through there are different concepts which are actually applicable here. We talk about reverse engineering. Somebody else has already designed it. What I will do is I will just copy it. I will reverse engineer it and I will start manufacturing it. Okay, through R&D. Now, some of the companies, they have in-house R&D departments, but there are companies which don't have. Those are smaller organizations. What they do is they tie up with external R&D agencies, and they do it, including the academics. They are also one of the R&D centers. So industry academia tie-ups can also help. Students are basically given projects and they are able to develop it. So student sponsored projects. Okay, so company sponsored projects are also basically taken up by agents, this academic institutes, and they do it. Okay, then robust design, modular design, CAD, concurrent engineering. These are the concepts which you actually use when we talk about product design. Factors determining your product design would be quality control, usage of raw materials and skill, okay, customer specifications, developing brand loyalty, manufacturability, cost of the product, economical manufacturing practices, goodwill of the firm, impact of other products, computer-aided design, and R&D. Okay, pure as well as applied R&D. BRC is known for pure uh, R&D, but at the same pure research. But at the same time, now since Modi ji has taken up. That means BJP government has come in from there. The insistence is more on applied research. That means how do you apply it so that it can be made more profitable or usable. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why you are able to see a lot of improvement in our defense programs too.
Yes.
Okay, when we talk about product designs, we are actually talking about designs such that we are able to guarantee the performance, we are able to miniaturize the products, making it more reliable, making it simple. The product should be repairable, producibility, aesthetics, look and feel, that is what we are talking about, and safety in terms of use. Repairability, we do talk about that, yes, we should be able to repair it, but nowadays what companies are looking at is this aspect should be reduced so that people don't start repairing it outside their controlled environment. So this is one of the reasons earlier your mobile phones used to come with detachable batteries. You can have a separate, you can, if your battery is not working properly, you can take another battery from the market and you can put it. Now you cannot do so. They are internalized. So again, you have to go to a proper service center, either authorized, and if you go to unauthorized, then your warranty is not there. Earlier, changing RAM of your laptops, changing batteries was very easy. You can just simply pull it out and again. So it was like a plug and play. Okay. So now they don't want it to be there with the customer so that they can guarantee the performance of the system. Product development will basically look at improving an existing product or developing new kind of products. Two aspects are there. One is called as product development. That means enhancing the capability of the product. Second is market development. So you will not only just be looking at one market, but you will be adding other markets, or in the same market, you will basically change the customer perception such that they start demanding better quality products. Okay, that is what has happened now because of branding and those kind of stuff. Now we always want to go for higher quality products, and people are ready to invest more also. Correct, na? Majority of you would be purchasing your products from the malls,
Yes, sir.
though the same product would be available across the street, because the reliability of that product and in terms of quality and genuinity would be higher.
Yes.
So we have already seen bottleneck identification. What we'll do is we'll just see some concepts and using some examples. Okay. Suppose a regional back office operation of a large bank is designing an operation which will process its mortgage applications. The number of applications to be processed is 160 per week, and the time available to process the applications is 40 hours per week. The bank calculated that average total work content of processing a mortgage application is 60 minutes.